Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Mythbusting. It is that time again for us to do a Will It Spawn because there is a new update of Minecraft. Of course, Minecraft 1.9 is out and we want to know of which of the new blocks can hostile mobs spawn on. Now we will be a little bit stretched in this episode because there has not been a lot of new blocks added, but I found some tests that we can do both in the testing facility and outside of it as well. So anyway, let's take a look at the new blocks that have been added in 1.9. Of course, we've got the Endstone and the Purpur blocks. These are going to have some very predictable results. I'm expecting to see hostile mobs spawning on these, and of course the slabs and the stairs when the flat side of the block is at the top of the block. So all of that should be fairly predictable, but of course we're going to do the tests to make sure. As well as that, I'm also curious to find out if mobs could spawn on chorus plants or chorus flowers. This will probably never ever be useful, but it's the kind of stuff I like to test and find out anyway. So we've also got the dragon head. We want to see if mobs can spawn on that. We've got the path block, which will be interesting because it is not a full block. So potentially another interesting test right there. And last of all, I put down some packed ice to represent frosted ice. I do want to find out if mobs are able to spawn on them, even though, again, that knowledge isn't going to be particularly useful, but it's good stuff to know. And as well as that, I've got a few tests that we're going to be doing outside of the testing facility as well. So if you haven't seen this before, it's pretty simple. What we do is put down blocks on top of the obsidian, we turn off the lights, and this is the only place where mobs can spawn in our world. So as soon as we start to move around, we get some mob spawns, and that confirms that they can spawn on the blocks. So we know that they can spawn on obsidian. We're going to start off the testing by doing the endstone. I'm going to lay it down on all of these pads, and then we're going to find out if the mobs can spawn on them. Well, I don't need to explain that to you, do I? Our first test is successful. We put in the endstone and we got a load of hostile mobs spawned. So let's move on to the Purpur blocks. So there's our confirmation of the Purpur blocks spawning hostile mobs. There are a few lighting glitches in there, but as I said, they are just glitches. We're now going to do the Purpur pillar block. And again, no surprises here. You can clearly see the mobs are spawning on the pillar block. Now we're going to move on to the stairs and the slabs. Of course, we're going to test these both in that position and with the flat side on top as well. So it's as I predicted. We are not getting mobs spawning on stairs, which is completely understandable. That's how the game works. So now we'll flip it upside down and test it on its flat side. So what did I tell you? Mobs can spawn on the flat side of stairs. Most of you probably knew that already, and we're just confirming it with these new blocks. So now we're going to move on to the slabs, and we'll start off with them like this. No surprises here, nothing spawning on the half slabs, and yes, we have a couple of lighting glitches. But if you're wondering what it is I do in between each little edit of the video, aside from replacing the blocks, what I also do is change the difficulty to peaceful, then back to hard, and I turn off the lights and turn them back on again. And then I fly around like this, trying to encourage as much spawning as possible. But of course, even doing that, I knew there'd be nothing spawning on these slabs. Although we do have a guy over here, because I forgot to put these right here. And there you have it, mobs can spawn on the top sides of the Purpur slabs. So now we get to move on to something slightly more interesting, which will be the chorus plant. Okay, the chorus plant has been laid down and the game's random tick rate has been set to 0, so there will be no updates to growth. And just in case you're wondering, because I know many of you are, that doesn't actually interfere with spawn rates at all. I did some testing beforehand. When you have random tick speed set to 0, the mobs will spawn as normal. And so far, we are not seeing anything. But I'm going to circle around the room a couple of times to encourage some spawning. And it looks pretty conclusive already, doesn't it? Okay, a few laps around the room, turning the lights on and off again, and absolutely no spawns. I think that confirms they don't spawn on the chorus plant. Now let's test the fruit as well. And actually there's two types to test here. You've got the fresh one, which I can't actually place, and then the grown one, as you saw a second ago. So the chorus flower is the same, a couple of laps around here, but no mob spawns at all, and it's not surprising really. However, this one did have a different hitbox shape. Anyway, we've got one more test to do with the chorus plant, and then we'll move on to the next block. And with the grown chorus flower, it is more of the same, no mob spawns at all. So now we get to move on to something that might be a little bit more fun. Of course, it's going to be the dragon's head next. Well, I'm not surprised, no mob spawns on the dragon's head. This was probably quite predictable, but I did discover something when placing down those dragon heads, which is that you can stand inside the block as you place it, like that, which is a little peculiar because you can't do this with other block types, like stone for example. Can't right click to place it down, And it's the same for the other type of skull as well. Even though it's got a collision box, you can actually stand inside of it and place it down. So we learnt something, which is good. So the path block, a fantastic addition to Minecraft 1.9, but also a block that doesn't spawn hostile mobs, which I personally think is a really good thing. However, there are some rumours going around that apparently passive mobs can spawn on them. So if hostiles can't, passive mobs also usually require full blocks to spawn on as well, which would to me say that they probably couldn't. So we should also do a test on passive mobs as well. Now this is a show where we talk about hostile mob spawns, but today we're making an exception. So I'm going to go and create a second world. It will be a flat world where the only block on the surface is a path block, and then we should see some passive mobs spawning on it. So let's go create that world and find out. I do like it when I get to say this, and it is the name of the show, but Myth Busted. I mean, I've been flying around for a while here, and there is absolutely nothing. It is approaching midday, so it's been quite some time, 0 spawns whatsoever. So I think the only thing now to do is to confirm that passive mobs can spawn in this world. So what I'll do is I'll plop down some regular grass blocks, and once we've got a big enough patch, we should see some passive mobs spawning on them. So passive mob spawn rates are slow, but we've got some chickens and horses over on this side, and as I was about to hit record, another group spawned over on this side over here. It's chickens and horses again, but there you go, that should be confirmation. Confirmation right there. Passive mobs do not spawn on the grass path block. Okay, this is the Frostwalker Ice, and in order to get it all in those positions, I've had to use MC Edit, and this is definitely the stuff that melts, but for some reason, it's not melting, and I don't know why. The random tick speed is set to 0, however that didn't stop it from melting before, and one block down the front here has the little animation on. So I don't know 100% what's going on here, but one thing I can tell you is mobs aren't spawning on it, so for whatever reason it's not melting into ice. Doesn't bother me, you can clearly see no mobs are spawning on here. So you're probably wondering, Asuma, what on earth am I looking at right now? You're looking at iron bars, because they've changed in 1.9. This was one of the other things that I thought would be worth testing. You now have this very small hitbox on which you can just about stand on, and you know it's night time. I've got night vision, I've been flying around. There are 2,601 spawning spaces here, and absolutely nothing is spawning. So we can confirm that they don't spawn on top of the new shape for the iron bars. However, I also wanted to try this with carpets on top as well, as mobs can spawn on carpets, but it sometimes depends on the block below. So I'm now going to go and put all these carpets in place, and we'll see if they can spawn on them with those on top. Well, you don't need me to tell you, no spawns are in sight, and I'm going to do a test between this clip and the next that I'm probably not even going to show you on camera because it's completely pointless, but yes, I will also test this with glass panes. Now, mobs don't spawn on them or glass blocks, same for the stained variants as well, so this test is kind of pointless, but since there's been a change and I've got this test world here set up, I might as well give it a go. No surprise, no mobs were spawning on the glass panes, and we're going to end this video by me letting you know that mobs don't spawn on rails or on pressure plates in 1.9 as well, and you can see those in our 25 secret changes in Minecraft videos. I'll put links to those on the screen for you, and I wanted to clear one thing up about this, and that is that mobs used to be able to spawn on rails in 1.8, but they wouldn't walk over them, and a lot of people got confused in the comments about those changes. So now in 1.9 they don't like to walk over rails, and they're not going to spawn on them either. And that is it for this episode of Will It Spawn. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like on the video. As always, thank you so much for the support on these videos, and of course check out the myth busting playlist if you want to binge watch some more Minecraft myth busting. There are plenty and plenty of episodes there for you to enjoy. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.